This is a chord, this is a chord, and this is a chord. A chord is just a group of notes played at the same time. But what does this actually tell us, and what does it mean? In this video, I'm going to try and make this seem as simple as possible. If a chord is a group of notes played at the same time, then this chord symbol tells us which notes we should play to make that chord. It's kind of like an address for the notes. This is an address for Buckingham Palace, and this short block of text can really accurately pinpoint an exact location. All addresses start with a country, and then a city, and then step by step, we can start to build a really accurate picture of where this location is. And the same is true for chord symbols like this one, because they also follow a logical order. The first step in our process is finding out the root, and this is the first letter of the chord symbol. This is what all the other notes of the chord relate back to. And from here, the chord is built in thirds. On the piano, this looks like every other note of the scale. And this is why once we go past the octave, we use ninths and elevenths rather than seconds and fourths. It's the first two notes from this root that give us the chord quality. And depending on which scale you're using, this will determine whether the chord is major, minor, augmented, or diminished. In a lot of cases, this will be all there is to a chord. And we call this a triad, when there's only three notes, the simplest type of chord. From here, we can add other extended notes. As we know, chords are built in thirds, so the next note that we come to is the seventh. And you may have heard of seventh chords. You can have minor sevenths, major sevenths, or dominant sevenths. And extensions can keep going. We can use the 9th, the 11th, the 13th, until we get to what would be the 15th, which is the same as the root, so we don't need to do anything about that. And by the time we get to the root again, we've used all 7 notes of the scale. And so really, a chord symbol like this is quite easy to work out. We have C, which is the root, and then it's a major 7th chord, so C, E, G, and B, and then a flat 9, which is a D flat, and a sharp 11, which is an F sharp. A few other things that I think are worth mentioning. Suspensions are notes within a chord that have a feeling like they want to fall to a neighbouring note. For example, in a C sus4 chord, the fourth, the F, feels like it wants to fall towards the third. In more of a proper composition, this would be written in a way so that it does actually resolve. But in chords, you can kind of just throw these notes in there and they have a feeling to them that works. This symbol is for a major 7th. This one means diminished, this one augmented, and this is a half diminished. An inversion is when the note on the bottom of the chord is not the root. So for example, if we were to take a C major chord, C, E, G, and place the E on the bottom, that would be a first inversion chord, also written C/E. There's also a whole lot more we could go into, but I think this pretty much sums up the basics of chord symbols and how chords are actually made.